The intersection of digital media use and its impact on mental health has been studied by numerous researchers across different disciplines, particularly since the mid-1990s booming of the World Wide Web. A substantial body of research focuses on the potential negative effects, often referred to as digital addictions or digital dependencies. These issues vary in appearance across different societies and cultures. Simultaneously, some experts have also explored the potential pros of balanced digital media use in various realms, including mental health and the potential of technology in treating mental health issues. However, a clear boundary distinguishing helpful and harmful digital media use has yet to be agreed upon. There isn't a universally accepted criteria to diagnose overuse. Though some experts view it as a reflection of underlying mental health conditions, approaches to prevent and treat excessive digital media use aren't standardized. Though safe media usage guidelines for children and families have been devised. The 2013 versions of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, and the International Classification of Diseases, ID-11, do not provide diagnoses for problematic internet and social media use. While ICD-11 does diagnose gaming disorder, DSM-5 does not. The discourse on how and when to diagnose these conditions continues till 2023. The appropriateness of using the term addiction for these phenomena and diagnoses is contested. Digital media and screen time have alternately positive and negative impact on children's cognitive, social, and developmental progress. However, researchers are uncertain about the postulated causal relationships between digital media use and mental health outcomes. Such connections are likely dependent on the individual and the platforms they engage with. Several leading tech firms have pledged or proposed strategies aiming to minimize the potential hazards of digital media use. Terminologies referring to uncontrollable digital media use behaviors are not uniformly accepted or defined. Terms utilized include digital addiction, digital dependence, problematic use, or overuse, sometimes categorized by the specific digital platform being used or studied, such as problematic smartphone use or problematic internet use. Excessive use of tech devices may negatively influence individuals' developmental, social, mental, and physical well-being, possibly resulting in symptoms paralleling those of other behavioral addictions. Although the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders has not officially classified excessive use of digital media as a problem, it did acknowledge internet gaming disorder as an issue deserving further study in 2013. The International Classification of Diseases 11th revision recognized this as gaming disorder, often referred to as video game addiction. Differences between the two classifications can be attributed to a lack of consensus amongst experts, nuances in the classification manuals, and challenges in applying animal models to behavioral addictions. The term addiction, in context of excessive digital media use, has fueled debates. Skeptics question its applicability in defining new digital media-related psychiatric categories, arguing that it may just be a symptom of other psychiatric disorder. Critics have also pointed out its dangerous similarity to substance abuse behaviors. A thoughtless application of the term might minimize the risks in severely affected individuals while exaggerating the risks of excessive but non-pathological digital media use. In their 2018 review, Panova and Carbonell, psychologists at Raman Lal University, proposed moving from terms suggesting addiction to problematic use when discussing excessive digital media use. However, due to varying interpretations and recognitions of terms, it remains challenging to standardize diagnoses or develop treatments. Public anxiety surrounding new media, including social media, smartphones, and video games, confuses overall assessments and complicates management of the issue. JAMA Pediatrics 2019 editors, Radesky and Christakis, explored the health and developmental risks of excessive media use for children's cognition, language, literacy, and social-emotional development. As digital devices are increasingly becoming a part of children's lives worldwide, resolving the issue is complex since removing these devices may negatively impact learning, family dynamics, and overall development. While some connections have been identified between digital media use and mental health symptoms or diagnoses, causality isn't confirmed. Often, subtleties and warnings shared by researchers are misunderstood by the public or inaccurately portrayed in the media gender. Differences are also evident, with women tending to overuse social media and men favoring video games. Thus, problematic digital media use cannot be reduced to a single issue. but may need to be understood on the basis of the digital platform or specific activities in question. To demonstrate the scope of this issue, consider that in 1890, only 1% of U.S. households owned at least one telephone. By 1946, this figure had risen to a majority, and by 1957, it was 75%. The evolution of technology and its relationship to mental health is a theme that merits investigation. In 2007, most Americans had stepped into the digital age, with a majority possessing broadband internet at home, a figure that mirrored the growth in smartphone ownership by 2013. Interestingly, home video game console ownership also saw an uptick from 40 in 2006 to 51 in 2015. However, a review in 2019 found correlations between problematic internet use and psychiatric disorders like depression, anxiety, aggression, and age. The causality remained inconclusive, urging the need for potential prospective studies on the subject. Digital media overuse was linked to depressive symptoms. Nevertheless, it was shown to have mood-enhancing effects in some circumstances. 8 symptoms were found to be positively correlated with digital media use, with the individuals tending to overutilize video games, online chatting, or social media due to the hyperfocus characteristic of age. A 2016 report emphasized the influences of social media on adolescent mental health. The key determinant was the style of social media use rather than the duration. Notably, passive consumption of social media led to diminished life satisfaction and well-being in older adolescents, but were absent in those who were more actively engaged. Furthermore, a 2018 examination of Chinese social media platform WeChat found the user's mental health symptoms had associations with platform overuse. The determinant was the motivations and usage patterns affecting overall psychological health rather than the amount of time spent. A subsequent study analyzing the effects of 5 major social media platforms on adolescent psychological health gave YouTube a net positive rating, with the rest gaining negative scorings, specifically Instagram, which was observed to reduce sleep quality, body image, and increase social anxiety, FOMO. A singular survey found variable technology use patterns among bipolar disorder patients depending on their self-reported mood states. The conclusion that technology for these patients resembles a double-edged sword because of its potential benefits and detriments underscores the array of interactive effects of technology use on mental health. Once again, the overarching theme is the call for further exploration in this field. In their 2019 research in psychological science, Orban and Przybyłski examined data from 17,247 subjects from the US, UK, and Ireland. They discovered there was negligible negative impact of digital screen time on adolescents' well-being. Interestingly, a 2019 review showed that despite low to moderate quality evidence, screen time was associated with several health problems. Remarkably, the review also suggested possible benefits for youngsters' social integration from a moderate use of digital technology. A study of Chinese urban teens disclosed that over a quarter of them spend more than 2 hours daily on screens. This screen time, coupled with a lack of physical activity, was found to be a risk factor for their mental health, leading to increased depressive anxiety symptoms and life dissatisfaction. A comprehensive 2017 UK study supported the Goldilocks hypothesis, suggesting that both extremes of digital media use should be avoided. It found that a moderate digital media use may have minimum side effects and potentially beneficial for overall well-being. This was deemed as the best quality evidence to the date. In contrast, a 2022 Umbrella review highlighted a surge in recent studies investigating the effects of social media usage on mental health. Excessive social media usage could potentially be more harmful compared to overall digital screen time. Although several reviews published between 2019 and mid-2021 suggested an association between social media usage and mental health issues, most found the link weak or inconsistent. However, a 2023 systematic review conveyed that there is nuanced evidence for a correlation between social media usage and thriving, with hopes of this positive association strengthening over time. The complex relationship between technology use and mental well-being remains a focal topic in recent research. Research has been conducted to understand the effects of social media usage on adolescents. A 2019 investigation indicated a correlation between online interactions of girls and an escalated risk of harassment, reduction in sleep and exercise, and increased depression. According to the theory of upward social comparison, constant exposure to idealized images on social media could dent adolescents' self-esteem, increasing feelings of depression additionally. Those who use social media extensively and suffer from depression tend to be more negatively affected, often due to their choice of content. Further studies in 2022 reinforced this association, particularly in the case of adolescent girls. In 2014, a meta-analysis of 45 studies published in Developmental Psychology suggested a small yet significant correlation between media use and ADHD-related behavior in children and adolescents. Subsequent research in 2016 involving Facebook users at a North American university confirmed that ADHD severity positively correlated with the frequency of Facebook usage, while driving it further revealed that impulses to use Facebook while driving were stronger among males. In 2018, a study conducted in northern Italy involving adolescent Facebook users found that those with elevated ADHD symptoms were more prone to Facebook addiction and negative attitudes towards the past and their future goals. Such participants were more likely to develop problematic social media use, a proposed category of psychological dependence. Another study published in 2018 in American Medical Association's journal revealed an important correlation between the high frequency of modern digital media usage and increased ADHD symptoms in American adolescents. A clear pattern emerged where higher frequency resulted in a higher probability of developing ADHD symptoms. In conclusion, the studies indicated that excessive social media usage can have negative mental health implications for adolescents, ranging from depression to ADHD symptoms. It is necessary to regulate and monitor these behaviors to reduce potential harm to youth's mental well-being. The Italian Journal of Pediatrics published a study in January 2020, which indicated an increased risk of ADHD among children aged 3-6 who are exposed to extensive screen time. A comparable correlation was also shown between screen time and the development of autism, SD. Another research in November 2020 published in Infant Behavior and Development identified that a high screen time was associated with less developed expressive receptive language skills among children with or without familial histories of ASD or AD. This study concluded that screen time was directly related to behavioral outcomes, irrespective of family's history of ASD or AD. In 2015, Preventive Medicine Reports corroborated these findings with a study citing a correlation between bedroom televisions and prolonged screen time in children and adolescents diagnosed with AD. Tailored to children's and families' characteristics, the research showed that children with television access in their bedrooms averaged significantly higher screen time and were more likely to exceed 2 hours of average weekday screen time. Similarly, a study published by Sleep Medicine in July 2021 reported a direct link between evening screen time and heightened sleep disturbance in French children, leading to greater ADHD symptoms. In a 2021 study published in the Globalization and Health journal, Shawai and colleagues investigated the impact of digital media on children and adolescents with ADHD during the COVID-19 pandemic. The research concluded that children experiencing problematic digital media use, PDMU, displayed heightened ADHD symptoms, negative emotions, family functioning difficulties, and lower learning motivation in comparison to those not experiencing PDM. In essence, these studies indicate a significant influence of screen time on the development and severity of ADHD symptoms in children, while stressing the importance of managing and monitoring screen exposure within this age group. Research indicates a direct correlation between ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and excessive social media usage, predominantly in young females and undergraduate students. High social media accessibility might be providing an ideal platform for individuals with ADHD to satisfy their hyperactivity and short attention span, which could explain its prevalence in such individuals, American Psychiatric Association, 2013. In association with this, a 2018 study published in Child and Adolescent Psychiatric Clinics of North America highlighted that children with autism spectrum disorder, AD, spend an average of 4.5 extra hours on screens compared to their peers. These children also mostly engage in video games over television, albeit typically in solitary settings. Furthermore, the journal Evidence-Based Mental Health, in its October 2018 edition, revealed a significant connection between sleep disorders and ASD. The journal examined 47 data sets and found that ASD participants differed notably on most subjective and objective sleep parameters compared to control groups. Another crucial element highlighted in a study published in the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders in November 2018 is the role of environmental factors on the physical activity and screen time in children with ASD. The absence of a bedroom TV and neighborhood encouragement influence physical activity in children without ASD. While for those with ASD, screen time was asserted by factors such as having a bedroom TV and lack of parental limits on screen time. In February 2021, Frontiers in Psychiatry published a study revealing the association of increased screen time with developmental quotient among children with ASD. The study findings suggested that children with ASD tend to have longer screen time hours compared to children without, as it also showed that screen time among ASD children is significantly correlated with the Childhood Autism Rating Scale. The relationship between screen time, sleep duration, and mental health in teenagers, especially with regard to symptoms of depression, has been the focus of several studies. A 15-year-long study called the Fragile Families and Child Well-Being Study observed that prolonged screen time related to social messaging, internet browsing, and watching television or movies increased depressive symptoms in teenagers, however. In the case of gaming, sleep-related factors only accounted for a percentage of the related depressive symptoms. In November 2019, Psychiatry Research published another study that surveyed over 14,000 American adolescents, revealing a significant correlation between excessive screen usage and inadequate sleep. This study established that teenagers who excessively used screens were 134 times more likely to suffer from sleep deprivation, with nearly 75% of the surveyed adolescents getting less than the prescribed 8 hours of sleep on a typical school night. In February 2020, a comprehensive review of 31 studies published in Sleep Medicine Reviews confirmed the negative effects of screen time on children under the age of 5. It suggested that excessive screen exposure led to poor sleep outcomes. Particularly in children under 2 years of age, the influence of physical activity on sleep was also discussed, highlighting the benefits of an active lifestyle and outdoor play for young children. In July 2018, a meta-analysis published in the Psychology of Popular Media established a positive correlation between grandiose narcissism and social media usage. Further research published in April 2018 in the Journal of Personality confirmed this trend across various social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter. In March 2020, the Journal of Adult Development demonstrated that millennials born between 1991 and 2000 showed significantly higher narcissism and Facebook usage compared to those born between 1977 and 1990, indicating a generational shift. The concept of gaming disorder and its associated impact have stirred in-depth analysis and discussion within the psychological and medical community. Organizations like the ISD-11 have acknowledged its significance. IVE Task Force and the ISD-11 have acknowledged its significance. Some experts, however, caution that designating heavy gamers as disordered may lead to unwarranted stigmatization on the broader spectrum. Internet addiction, as termed by Christakis, poses the potential to become a global health crisis. Highlighting the gravity of the issue, childhood internet overuse has been referred to as uncontrolled experiments on children. Geographical variations and overall global prevalence of internet overuse, on the other hand, have featured in international studies. Recent views like those of Musetti and team, however, emphasize the essential role the internet plays in the modern world, leading to calls for reevaluating the perception and model of internet addiction. Medical professionals and behavioral scientists are seeking to expand the diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders by including diagnoses like social media addiction. Research indicates a potential relationship between critical psychological needs and social media addiction. This is bolstered by the recognition that social networking sites are engineered to keep the users engaged and addicted. The term internet sex addiction refers to online sexual activity that negatively affects an individual's life. Its consequential issues like mental health disorders and substance use addiction are more common amongst internet gamblers than non-internet gamblers. An insight yielded from a 2015 review, the comparison between internet and land-based gamblers, although intriguing, lacks clarity on causality. The subject of cyberbullying and its psychological impacts has also gained prominence. The victims often show signs of diminished self-esteem, anxiety, anger, and depression, along with increased suicidal tendencies. It has sparked concerns across Europe with growing incidence among children between the ages 8 to 16. Digital media multitasking, a common modern-day habit, is associated with depressive symptoms, impulsiveness, neuroticism, and a lower degree of perceived social success. Cognition in heavy media multitaskers seems to be adversely impacted. However, the literature present is not conclusive enough to define if digital media multitasking is the cause or the effect of these symptoms. A variety of methodologies for evaluating unhealthy internet usage have been devised, primarily through self-report surveys, however. No single method has been globally accepted as the gold standard. Both the American Psychiatric Association and the World Health Organization have established diagnostic criteria for gaming disorder. There is some initial evidence that suggests cognitive behavioral therapy and family-based interventions may be effective treatments. Meanwhile, medications have been found to be ineffective through randomized controlled trials. A study from 2016 proposed that mindfulness may play a role in preventing and managing internet addiction in teenagers. In 2019, a UK parliamentary report stressed the importance of parental involvement, awareness, and support for the digital resilience of young people and in the identification and management of online risk. Treatment centers have been established in various countries to tackle digital addiction, with China and South Korea taking the lead in treating this issue as a public health crisis, opening 300 and 190 centers respectively. Non-profit organizations and advocacy groups have also been providing resources to individuals who may be overusing digital media, with or without an official diagnosis. A 2022 study discusses how the stress caused by media consumption affects mental well-being, suggesting that the primary common issue stems from the media's portrayal of reality, which leads to increased uncertainty and leads to defensive responses and ongoing stress. On the other hand, social media platforms have become platforms where individuals with mental illness can establish social connections, thus fostering a sense of inclusion. These platforms allow them to share personal experiences in a more comfortable environment and receive peer support for developing coping strategies. Utilizing social media for this purpose can aid in avoiding stigma and provide further understanding of their conditions, but it can also expose them to potential negative influences, misinformation, and delayed access to professional mental health support. Online communities can also provide essential support, especially to specific groups such as the LGBTQ community and those suffering from illnesses or disabilities. Young cancer patients have reported improved coping abilities through their participation in such online communities. In addition, social media has proven to be useful in facilitating communication between patients and healthcare professionals, helping to reduce stigma. Furthermore, the educational benefits of digital media are well established in children, offering potential solution to learning apps through a variety of quality software and apps that can improve their skills in a number of subjects. Both independent and collaborative learning can be enhanced through screen-based programs. Digital sociology, an interconnected field with digital anthropology, examines the way individuals interact with digital media through various research strategies, such as surveys, interviews, focus groups, and ethnographic studies. The field scrutinizes the cultural geography and long-standing worries surrounding the excessive consumption of technology by younger people concerning their access to online adult content, cyber harassment, or online exploitation. In a Turkish sociological research conducted in 2012 comprising of 2698 subjects, it was observed that the internet usage pattern varied depending on the degree of religiosity. As religious inclination increased, there was a corresponding increase in negative attitudes towards online use for highly religious individuals. The primary motivation was to seek information. A different study on 1296 adolescent students in Malaysia revealed an inverse connection between religiousness and the propensity for internet addiction among females, though the same was not evident in males. A review in Nature in 2018 theorized that youths from lower-income backgrounds, who may spend up to 3 additional hours per day on digital devices compared to their wealthier counterparts, are more likely to exhibit passive online interactions and face difficulty managing their screen time. They're more vulnerable to online negative feedback, potentially intensifying the existing risk of mental illness. These findings signal a new form of digital divide among young people. A 2015 notion by Dharmeshi and his colleagues highlighted that neuroscientists are using the prevalence of social media to enhance their understanding of social cognitive processes. A subsequent review in Nature in 2018 discovered a link between the density of the amygdala, a brain section responsible for emotional processing, and the size of both online and offline social networks in adolescents. This suggested a significant interaction between real-life social interactions and adolescent brain development. Furthermore, it was suggested that social media can have positive impacts, including building social connections and managing impressions about others, contributing to reputation building, impression management, and online self-presentation. Notably, adolescence is seen as a pivotal point in determining how social media impacts individuals' self-perception and expectations of others. Further investigation into the neuroscience behind digital media use and brain development during adolescence is warranted. Nevertheless, the precise biological or neural processes driving overuse of digital media are still unknown, as brain imaging techniques undergo continuous study and individual neuroscientific findings often prove inconsistent in subsequent studies. Studies suggest that the role of digital technology in influencing the cognitive and mental health of children and adolescents is more complex than traditionally understood. Its impact may be shaped not only by the type and amount of use, but also by factors like the design and choice of technology and user interactions with it. For instance, it is found that video gaming and digital video viewing in 8-12-year-olds over a 2-year period could be positively correlated with intellectual abilities. However, the broader consequences of overall screen time, the specifics of gaming categories, and types of videos viewed were not examined in these studies. These fluctuations and impacts become more evident when we find a sharp rise in adolescent loneliness and depression post-2012 linked to smartphone access and internet use. However, the negative aspects of smartphones and the internet should not overshadow their potential for positive effects on social life and mental health. Digital technologies have been promising in facilitating mental health care delivery online, showing benefits in managing depression and anxiety through computerized cognitive behavioral therapy. A mindful online intervention demonstrated small to moderate positive effects on mental health, including stress reduction and improvement in feelings of depression, anxiety, and overall well-being. Furthermore, mobile applications have emerged as supporting tools enhancing mental health domains, especially in cognitive behavioral therapy aimed at anxiety and mood disorders. However, despite these optimistic findings, more rigorous trials are needed to conclusively establish the effectiveness of digital applications in delivering mental health interventions. A damning 2018 Lancet Commission report on global mental health and sustainability noted an outpacing of the proliferation of mental health apps by the scientific evidence supporting their efficacy. Despite this, various authors have written that telephonic mental health care can be as effective as in-person treatments for disorders such as depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Coupled with these expert opinions, technology companies and governments in countries like Japan, China, and South Korea are trying to address and alleviate the negative impacts of excessive digital technology use. This concerted effort highlights the need for a balanced and thoughtful approach to integrating technology into our lives, ensuring it's a tool for enhancing, not impeding, our mental well-being. The platform, after trial, runs in Australia, Italy, Ireland, Japan, Brazil, and New Zealand, launched a global experiment in November that involved the use of artificial intelligence to combat cyberbullying. Meanwhile, China, as early as 2006, implemented public health measures to counter gaming and internet-related disorders. This led to the introduction of the online game anti-addiction system. In 2007, which limited the daily gaming use of minors to 3 hours. Other initiatives included China's Ministry of Education, introducing new regulations in 2018 to further control minors' online gaming time. Likewise, Tencent, the world's top video game publisher, imposed tighter restrictions on gaming time for children from 2 September 2023. Individuals under 18 were banned from internet access on mobile devices from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., barring parental override. In tandem, Alphabet Inc. in 2018 updated Android smartphones with a dashboard app that set timers on application use. Apple Inc. subsequently incorporated a purchased third-party app into iOS 12 to monitor screen time. These companies' motivations and the functionality of these products have been critically examined by journalists. South Korea leads with 8 ministries for public health, focusing on internet and gaming disorders, demonstrating a contrast to policies in the United States, Western Europe, and Oceania. The Ministry of Science and IT manages awareness campaigns, educational interventions, youth counseling centers, and promotes a healthy online culture. Apple Inc. in 2018 faced objections from 2 activist investors concerning the content and duration of youth-related screen time, urging the company to proactively act before regulators possibly enforce restrictions. In response, Apple Inc. attested their commitment towards the protection and well-being of children and promised innovative solutions. In Japan, the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communication spearheads initiatives to address problematic internet use and gaming disorder. Notably, the 2008 Act on Development of an Environment that provides safe and secure internet use for young people has been instrumental in promoting public awareness campaigns and imparting safe internet use skills to youngsters.